skiers, it's Bob with Skiessentials.com.
And I'm Emily.
Emily and I are here with another 2024 women's comparison. We're going a little narrower this time. These skis range 82 to 86 millimeters underfoot. And what's really interesting is kind of when we get into this low to mid 80s range, we start to see some more differences and more progression towards front side performance. And you can basically assume that anything that comes with a system binding here is going to be more geared towards front side performance and groomer skiing. That doesn't mean that they're not as versatile, and there are some exceptions we can talk about, but in general, skis that have system bindings are more geared towards groomer skiing and front side performance, while the ones that are flat, that don't have a binding that come with them, are a little bit more versatile, a little bit more all-mountain oriented, and for the most part are like filtered down from a wider free ride ski. So lots of good stuff here and really useful kind of range of skis, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a sometimes overlooked category, and I don't know if that's just because people want to focus on the softer snow-focused skis. They want to be able to be accessing that kind of snow and conditions, but for the most part, the majority of us are spending a lot of our time on groomers and on piste, and you know, this category isn't just solely front side focused skis. Right. We do have a lot of narrower all mountain skis, and then we have some wider bodied carving skis, but still a good amount of versatility and just a lot of great options up here.
Yeah, and I think these first two provide a nice kind of opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
even though they're like, technically the carving ski is wider than the non-system ski.
Right,
so,
right.
That's a great spot to just start us off with that Armada there.
Yeah, this Armada Reliance 82. This is an awesome, awesome ski. It is really a strong performer on piste. But it has a nice shape and a nice four-body profile for soft snow conditions and just a little bit more versatility. For construction, we have a Karuba wood core, and then in addition to that, we have Armada's articulated Titanol banding, which is a really unique and cool application of metal where we get it full width underfoot and through the tail. And then in the forebody, they take slits out of the metal, and that does a really good job at allowing the forebody to twist and manipulate better. And so it has really nice, smooth turn initiation. You can really bend and flex the front of the ski and get really nice feedback and responsiveness. And then in the midsection through the tail, you get really, really good precision and stability and strength. And it just transfers over to performance in a really, really nice way. This ski really likes to, I would say, it appeals to skiers who like to ski with speed, keeps really good stability at speed, and yeah, just a really strong performer on piste, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and we can definitely bring moguls into this category. That was another thing that I wanted to bring up overall, that this narrower side of skis, especially something that has a little bit more of an all-mountain presence to it, just makes a phenomenal bump ski. Even with metal, you know, it's quick. It has that lighter weight Karuba wood core, but very, very easy to maneuver because it is like the narrower version of the wider skis. So it does have that more drifty and smeary character as opposed to some of these others that we'll see that are more planted on the snow.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome in the bumps, really kind of that quiet feel to it. Armada Reliance specifically is really, really well known for that. And I mean, have you ever had a bad time on a Reliance ski or like know someone you have? Like, it's a pretty universal appeal when we go through our testing process. Like, this thing is cool. It feels like a very high-end ski. You know, kind of has that Stokely silence to it, which I think is really impressive for having a lighter weight wood core.
Totally, and coming from Armada too, you associate the brand with just a freestyle, focused, you know, demeanor, and it's just, it really kind of speaks to Armada's ability to really produce a really strong front side all mountain ski.
Yeah, 1,540 grams here. So kind of lighter due to the wood, but still a substantial feel. And then I just wanted to point out the rocker profile on this one specifically because these actually have a long camber and not a whole lot of tip rocker. And that's a factor of this being the narrowest in the series, where we go up to 92 and 102. And as they get bigger, then they get more bowed out. But that, you know, to me, that says that this thing is very happy on groomed terrain and making nice, short, energetic, quick carve turns and getting that energy out of the camber of the ski. And it provides a nice kind of contrast to this next one.
Yes.
This is an Atomic Cloud Q12. And Atomic does really interesting things with their frontside skis. They have a ton. I don't know if you've like gone top to bottom in their catalog, but they have so many on-trail skis.
You know, there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
even within like similar widths, they have different builds, and then they take that same overall shape and put it in a narrower footprint. So this actually represents the widest in the carving family. So that's what the Q is going for, and then the 12 is just a higher level of ski. This one's almost 84 millimeters underfoot, so wider than that Reliance. Yet with the system binding and with this overall shape, it's a lot better suited to frontside and carving performance. So if you're like a former racer or someone who wants to get into carving, this is a great option. And having that wider bodied underfoot style of ski, I think just gives people a lot more confidence to just really kind of stand on the edge. You get the full benefit of, you know, more of the race-like build to it, but in a wider bodied format. So it's like comforting to have this much width underfoot in this build of a ski.
Yeah, I was going to say it gives you just a better like balance point. It's, you know, and it inspires confidence. You're not feeling, you know, loose and just like you don't have anything underneath you.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. I really enjoyed skiing the ski for that reason. It's like has a nice blend of attributes.
Yeah. And a pretty short radius. It's like 13.5 meters here in what is this, a 166. So pretty tight turns, power wood core. We do have metal underfoot in this ski for torsional stiffness. And then we have Atomic's RevoShock, which is carbon in this ski. They also make RevoShock steel. So that's kind of the next bump up in terms of performance. And that's just a vibration damping system where it really keeps this thing, you know, planted on the snow and reducing vibrations throughout. But very, very much a true tip to tail, cambered and non-tapered ski. So when you have a long effective edge like that with zero taper, the widest part of the ski is all the way at the very end, you're getting a longer effective edge and just a lot of precision as a result. So square flat tail as opposed to what we saw with Reliance, which is a bit more rounded, certainly puts this into that frontside realm. And like, you know, it's kind of useless to put these on the scale because the bindings are a little bit weighty. From a performance perspective, having that extra weight underfoot with that metal doesn't mean that it's hard to turn, but it certainly prefers to be in the snow.
Yeah, I was going to follow that with, I remember, I mean, these skis just felt pretty agile and responsive and maneuverable. Like I remember just being able to make pretty quick, consistent, energetic turn shapes. And even though they're a really high performance ski that is in the frontside realm, it's not super tiring.
Right.
There's going to be skis that have a really great level of edge grip and stability like these do, but they might feel a little bit more demanding and like you have to put more work into them. And I think they did a really good job at finding this balance between like high performance but also accessible. Yep. Which is really nice.
Yeah, and if you're like used to rolling a ski edge to edge and really like feeling the full power of the carve, I think that's a really good option.
Absolutely.
We can kind of run through these next two kind of together. I'll kind of talk about construction, and then if you want to maybe take the application, because I think there's a little bit of a different personnel going on here. But the construction is very similar. We have two Atomic Mavens, an 86 and an 86C. Both feature the same lightweight wood core. We were talking about omatic construction earlier, and basically what that means is that they are using a thicker core profile underfoot, and then it thins as it gets to the tips and the tails. This is consistent throughout both Maven 86C and regular 86. So that construction technique stays in place. Both have this horizon tech for better flotation, basically makes a boat hull-like shape and allows this thing to plane up and over fresh and soft snow. The edges stop here too, so it's a, it's a nice technique of saying, okay, we're stopping anything really structural here, and this is going to be the floaty and fun part of the ski. And then that's kind of going against a little bit more business-like of a tail. Like, I found these things to be pretty stiff and energetic. You can speak more to that, Emily, but 15.5 meter turn radius in this thing as well. The C gets carbon stringers throughout, longitudinal carbon stringers throughout, and the regular 86 does not. I'm interested to see if they weigh any different, because it's not like carbon is a very heavy material. So sometimes it adds just a few, and sometimes it's very similar. So this one, the C is 1533 if you want to hand me a non-C. And same footprint throughout, so very similar overall attributes. So 1440. So looking at a little bit of extra weight. Usually when we add carbon stringers, there's another layer of fiberglass going in there and more adhesive, therefore more weight. But very similar skis. How would you kind of say who's who and what are we looking at for an audience here?
So when I first got on these, I was coming from a lot of experience on the Ben Chettlers.
Yeah.
And very similar shape in the forebody with the Horizon Tech tip, and just pretty similar shape overall, except for in the tail. So that's where, the Ben Chettler was a go-to for me for skiing bumps and tight terrain and trees. And they performed really well on piste, but I got to test these, I think, at Loon.
On a gorgeous rainy day.
Yes, it was a rainy day. And so it was interesting to get on these and just feel the difference, I would say, mostly in the tail. And the addition of carbon as well. Obviously, the Ben Chettlers don't have carbon. So I really liked just that additional stiffness and reactivity that I felt in these. They were really fun on groomers. The snow conditions, because it was raining, were a little variable, but they performed really, really well, and I really enjoyed that just step up in the construction as far as performance. Taking it in comparison to the Maven non-C version, just a little bit more of a forgiving feel to those. So, you're going to get more responsiveness, more feedback from the Maven 86C than just the regular Maven. So if you're someone who likes the shape, and these two skis veer more in the direction of the narrower all-mountain ski, I would say. Really great on-piste performance, that said, but this is not a wider-bodied carbine ski by any means. It definitely, given the shape in the shovel and just the overall feel, it's just a great all-mountain feel. Can definitely I had fun in the bumps, if I recall. These are fun in the bumps. They're fun just kind of all over. You can take them. But the comparison between these two is just really that addition of carbon, and just the enhancement to the construction is going to take it up a notch, and you're just going to have a little bit more stiffness, a little bit more feedback. So if you're, like I said, you like this footprint and you want just a little bit more of an approachable feel, the non-carbon version is an awesome choice.
Yeah, a little bit of a price break too, so it's more of a budget conscious. I would say that the non-carbon is more of this is my first ski purchase.
Absolutely.
An emerging intermediate, and I'm looking for something that's incredibly light and I can do short turns on. And that's, I feel like both of these excel in those short swing, not even carved turns, but skidded, more Z-shaped turns, versus something that's more drawn out. And there are better skis on this wall for more drawn out and faster turns. But, the difference isn't when we see two skis with similar footprints and different builds, sometimes we're like, well, that one goes faster. But these don't really do that. It's more just an ease of use type of thing, and an accessibility thing with the non-carbon version.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that Atomic makes that Q12,
Right.
and then these two Mavens all in this same
Absolutely.
group.
Yep.
But yeah, bumps, short turns, slower speeds,
Yep.
high energy out of the sea, a little bit easier to get through with the non-carbon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we talked about our ski test a little earlier, and I think that this next one, this Black Crow's Vertis Birdie, is one of these skis that when we kind of go through our process, this one sneaks up on a lot of skiers. You're not really expecting Black Crows as a company that is like, French Alps, free tour, free ride, aggressive skiing. You're not really expecting them to make a really fun and engaging resort ski, but this thing just absolutely rips.
Yeah.
And everyone that gets on it is extraordinarily impressed. It's like they're what they thought it was going to be and what it ended up being are very different. So the expectation versus reality on this thing's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I agree. And, the construction is pretty simple. I mean, we're getting the poplar wood core with fiberglass, and that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it for build.
But so you know that, and you don't expect too much out of it, I guess. And that's what I love about Black Crow skis is it's a pretty simple approach to the construction, but yet it delivers a really high performance level, and it's just the ski is just so fun and just forgiving, but you can really also push it pretty hard. And it's similar to what we were saying about the Reliance, where you are getting really strong on-piste performance, more so out of the Reliance, but also really, really fun in the bumps. This ski is a blast, I would say, in the bumps and trees. Definitely its preferred terrain and application, but has a really long effective edge, still provides really great edge grip and stability on piste, so it's just one of those pretty versatile options up here.
Yeah, I like the combination of an 85 millimeter waist and a 15 meter turn radius.
Yes.
And we're kind of seeing these shorter arcs creep into these all-mountain skis, and we'll see that with that Dynastar E-Cross as well. Another, that's a new ski, and that's kind of picking up on this new trend of these shorter carving all-mountain skis in this mid-80s category. But yeah, ton of energy, 1,670 grams, so there is a little bit more heft. If you think about I don't know if it shows up on camera so well, but all the yellow is vertical sidewall. So this is a fully sidewalled ski, even so far as to go wrap all the way around the tips. So you're just getting a slightly thicker core profile throughout, and that makes a lot of sense when it comes to how this ski feels substantial.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you had mentioned, Emily, the longer effective edge is really a big story here. It's not like there's an outlandish amount of camber underfoot, but it's very long. And again, the more time that your ski is on edge in the snow, the smoother the feel is. Little bit of taper here, that's going to help with soft snow, but the strength of this and the benefit is really on groomed terrain and making carved turns for something like this. A little bit flatter, not a whole lot of tail rocker back there. But we generally found that people love how this thing has just amazing energy and rebound.
Yeah.
And that every skier that's been on it, similar to Reliance, I don't think I heard or saw of a bad or even somewhat below average review or feedback on that thing, which is pretty impressive. And then this one's been around for a while. We got a Blizzard Black Pearl 82. This one follows in the footsteps of its predecessor. It's a little bit different in terms of shape than the 88, which is just incredibly popular. I think it's fair to say that the 88, has kind of allowed these other skis to kind of creep into its realm over the years, and kind of making this 82 a little, this one used to get buried. And now I think that there's a little bit more of an interest in application for this 82 mostly because the 88 category has grown in both scope and quality. But the 82 is great. They use Blizzard's True Blend wood core.
Yep.
That one almost got away from me. True Blend wood core. They're able to put denser wood stringers through the forebot or through the middle of the ski and leave less of those dense wood on the edges. And that just allows for the tips and tails to be more maneuverable, easier to get around, and just a little bit more drifty. So it's a nice combination of having, you know, this is another version of that narrower all-mountain ski. So it does have that kind of free ride feel to it, but in that narrower shape. We get metal underfoot, so there's a little bit of torsional stiffness going on there, but 82 millimeters, 13.5 meter turn radius here in the 166, Emily. This thing turns on a dime.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to talk to a lot of people about this ski at the Snowbound Expo we were just at, and really got to highlight just how useful and approachable this ski is. There were a lot of skiers who wanted to purchase their first pair of skis that wanted just a little bit more performance than some of the other options in the realm that we had. So if you're someone who wants that, you know, metal underfoot that gives great torsional stiffness and strength and just that little extra bit of power underfoot, but still a lot of maneuverability and forgiveness in the tip and tail, like this ski is just, there's a lot of skiers that I would turn to this ski. It's just really useful, friendly, good performance, and just really versatile too.
And at this point, and like, I don't like using this word because it kind of sounds negative, but traditional.
Yeah.
You know, like that's, we see this, you know, with the Black Pearl 88, and then even on the men's side in the Bonafide, the wider, the 97, that there's this kind of old school tip shaping property where there's a lot of splay. So like this distance here is bigger than most other skis on this wall, and it has this more dramatic scoop to it. And that's a very traditional ski shape design. And then same thing with this just very flat tail. Like for an 82, for an 82 like all mountain, this thing cuts through crud and chop really well.
Yeah.
You know, the more splayed out you have the tail, the more it's going to kind of bounce. The flatter it is like this, the more it's going to cut through like a knife. Full sidewall throughout. So again, we're dealing with a very real ski here, and just a nice overall quality and performance. I just had it on the scale. I don't know if I said what it was. 1620, so creeping into Black Crows in terms of a little extra weight. But with weight comes stability. So you can really achieve a high level of skiing on these. They do have that solid feel while being approachable. I think the short turn radius and the 82 millimeter waist really help those skiers that are like, I want something that's my first ski, but I'm a decent skier, and I want it to progress with me. Yeah. And there aren't like a whole lot of days where most skiers are going to need more width or more ski than this. Like, I find it funny, like people are like, well, what if it snows a lot and I'm stuck on this 82? And it's like, well, then it snowed a lot. Yeah. And you should have a good time in the snow.
Absolutely.
You know, like, these things are built pretty well.
Yeah, and the shape in the forebody is going to be perfect for that.
Yeah.
Without sacrificing the on-piece performance. So.
Yeah, I think it's a nice mix for sure.
Absolutely. To go a different direction in the
shape.
Right? Yeah, the Dynastar E-Pro 85. This is the narrowest in the E-Pro line, right?
Yeah, and it does have the different builds. So this is where we see a difference between the 90 and the 85. Still
that similar footprint in the shape.
Yeah, same thing, just pared down. 90 has the hybrid core with the Titanal rocket frame. This has a fiberglass frame. So same additional material in terms of where it is on the ski, but it's fiberglass instead of metal. So you're going to get more pop and energy out of this at a lighter weight than the 90. And you know, it's a 5 millimeter difference in overall dimensions, so I don't think it's a huge drop. I think the bigger difference is in the construction. So that hybrid core, and we'll talk about hybrid 2.0 with the E-Cross, but basically they use a good amount of polyurethane material on the sides and then through the forebody and the tail. And that's more of like a high-end plastic material, which you don't think of plastic and skis as a good thing. But when you get on these, there's no denying that they're smooth and powerful and stable and really, really rewarding.
Yeah.
And like I'm personally a huge fan of this hybrid core style. You know, it's got the poplar wood in it, and then the polyurethane around the sides. Add that fiberglass, and this thing is a very surprising performer.
Yeah, really smooth, like you said, to echo that. Really stable, but you are getting a nice level of responsiveness and energy, and it's really well-rounded and fun in the forebody, just with the dramatic amount of rocker. I mean, just the shape we always focus on when we talk about these E-Pros.
Put those back to back.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a big difference between that 80 than the Pearl 82 we just had.
Yeah, it's dramatic. So it's, you know, the edge is ending about here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But then you're getting a long effective edge from here.
Yep.
But so you're getting good precision and control in the midsection and the tail, but in the front of the ski, you're just getting really fun flotation and smooth turn initiation, and these things are just really fun. I really love these skis.
Yeah, and another one that just kind of gets buried a little bit, you know, and we see this on the men's side too with the M-Pro 85, like it just doesn't get the attention it deserves for how good it is and how versatile and just how many people out there would really enjoy it.
Absolutely.
I mean, because of that rocker, it's really easy to initiate.
Yeah.
And then it's up to you from then.
Yep.
Which I really like. So from a third of the ski down to the bottom, it is all very much skier input focused.
Yeah, you really get to dictate how you want to control it.
Yeah, no, they're pretty sweet skis, and great in the bumps, great in the trees. Having that more floaty and maneuverable tip really just allows you to kind of wiggle it around and put it where you want it to go.
Yeah, I've seen a good amount of skiers at Mad River that are on these, and you're getting a lot of time in the bumps and trees, and it just goes to show that it can do a little bit of everything really well. Yep.
No, strong build, really fun shape, and a nice contrast to this next Dynastar. I always like it when these companies are making multiple, basically all mountain skis in the same width. This is a new E-Cross 82 for Dynastar this year, and two main differences. One is they're using hybrid core 2.0, so a different way of constructing the wood in the core. So same thing, they have poplar in the central cord and then polyurethane on the outsides. The way they're doing the wood cores, they're basically taking horizontal laminates, so one flat one on the bottom, and then the top two are milled and then joined together. So they are adhered together through friction and joinery rather than adhesives. The end goal here is to have a lower environmental footprint because adhesive is kind of one of the main culprits, is getting glue from place to place and just the process of making it. So they're trying to eliminate that step, and without losing performance, I think that that's a really nice way to go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point there of hybrid core 2.0. And then they also have this H-shaped metal underfoot, so full width underfoot, and then extends to arms here in the forebody and just behind the binding area. So you are getting a strong and stable midsection. And then in contrast to that 85 there, Emily, this is a much wider shovel and just easier to hook into turns. So whereas that one likes to drift in, this one likes to hook up a little bit more, which is kind of the charm of having these shorter radius skis. 12 meters here in the 167. This is really kind of a good example of a modern frontside ski. 82 underfoot, short turn radius, yet some versatility due to the width. So really interesting ski.
Yeah, I really love the blend of qualities in this ski, and what jumps into my head when I think of this ski is just it's a really crisp, clean turner.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that wants to be on piste and make a lot of just clean, round, dynamic shaped turns, but want some versatility as well, this is an awesome option. The wider shovel that you mentioned is another thing that jumps out to me and really invites smooth, really, really nice, effortless turn initiation. And then with the H-shaped metal, you get into that turn and then you really can kind of get them up on edge underfoot and feel really confident and strong, but you're certainly not on the strongest carbine ski there is. So it's just a really nice blend.
I've been skiing on the M-Cross 88, which is the wider version of this ski, so far this early season, and it's a great early season ski.
Totally.
You know, it's a little bit wider than this, and we've just kind of had variable conditions. You know, it hasn't been firm, so you don't need the narrower. It gets chopped up pretty quick. It's nice to have the width, but the concepts are the same. It's just it likes to get you into the turn, and then there's a surprising amount of energy. It's kind of like those, your first turns of the season, you kind of forget where your weight goes.
Yeah.
And that happened to me a few times where, your skis just kind of, they start to turn and back you go. So there is strength in the tail, mid-body back in this ski.
Yeah.
Which I think is good, especially for people that are in the advanced range that maybe aren't looking at this. They want something that's, strong enough to help them progress, but isn't too demanding. I think this makes a great option.
Yeah, and it's, for some reason, just kind of has a subtlety to it. So it's, I agree, it could be a really awesome option for an advanced skier that wouldn't normally look to this ski for that type of performance. And really exciting new option in this width category, and just a lot of great qualities that this would be an awesome daily driver even for a lot of people.
Totally.
Just because of its range of capabilities.
Yeah, no, I would be happy skiing this or the 88 pretty much most days around here.
Absolutely.
These next two we can kind of go the same way we did the Atomics, if you want. These are two Elan Wildcats. This one is the 86CX, and that one is the 86 Black Edition, which is basically a C with a system binding. So in terms of footprints, they're very similar. They have the same overall shape and profile, but slightly different constructions. So we have Elan's tube light wood core in this one. We have carbon throughout the ski, and then we also have a carbon laminate on top. Amphibio goes through both models. So we have both of these skis, they're right-left specific. They have more material on the inside edge and less material on the outside edge. And that just puts more emphasis on your downhill ski and the power of that downhill ski, and allows this uphill ski to kind of track along. I'm interested in getting your feedback into how that equates to on-snow performance, but it's a very, very interesting kind of technology component that Elan is able to use because they're building these things asymmetrically. And that happens, Amphibio construction happens in the tail as well, where there's just more energy and more power on that inside and downhill ski versus a little bit more drifty playfulness on the uphill ski. So it makes a lot of sense, and really, really just a fun and crisp ski. One of these things that's maybe stiffer than we expect, and that's fine. These are really, really great options for on-trail performance.
Yeah, I think the word that always comes to mind with this series is just intuitive.
Yeah.
If you are someone that wants a high-performance ceiling, an energetic, responsive ski with strong on-piste performance, and you don't want to have to think too much about how to control the ski, it really just performs in a way that helps you out. It really, just the Amphibio rocker profile, to me, I feel like, why isn't everyone doing that almost?
Yeah, I have those thoughts too.
Yeah, because it just makes so much sense. And when you are skiing it, just just how it transfers over to performance, it's just wild. It's just really predictable, really intuitive. You don't have to put a lot of foresight into how you want to dictate your turns and how it's going to feel. It just really helps you and makes the whole experience so fun and easy feeling.
Yep.
And I'd say the difference for me between these two is just, this is an awesome ski, great level of stiffness, really energetic, really great edge grip. If you want to take it up a step further, you jump on these.
Yeah, they look pretty sharp for sure.
They are very sharp, and just the one thing I will say is no skier is ever going to get on these and really think, hey, I need more than this ski.
Right.
Which is awesome, but I love that this is an option as well for that skier who just wants to push it a little bit harder, crank up the speed dial a little bit, really put a little bit more input into the ski than those.
Yep. Yeah, but pretty cool concept. Again, same overall footprint.
Yep.
Slightly different characteristics.
Yep.
System binding only on that one. So that kind of, if you are putting a system binding on a ski, you're just adding weight to the underfoot zone, and that can kind of open up more all mountain opportunities for the flat ski, which is, you know, just a personal difference.
Sure.
Whatever you're looking to do.
Yep.
But no real need to go beyond that. You know, it's just a slight stylistic choice. And really well-rounded skis, you know, is the widest ones on this wall. It still has more of that front side shape, like that atomic,
Sure.
like the Cloud versus something like the like that E-Cross we just did, or even the Black Crows.
Yep.
So pretty interesting how they're still making those differences even in 86. You can really creep up in width and still keep it very front side oriented.
Which is impressive and great.
This, I think, is our first one with 2 sheets of metal.
I think you're
Emily.
right. Yeah.
This is a Faction Dancer 1X, and at 86 millimeters underfoot is really well rounded and has this dual metal laminate surrounding this wood core. Thin metal. So one of the big parts about these Dancer skis is that they're able to kind of combine this poplar wood core with 2 thin sheets of metal and really make the ski live up to its name. Like, there's just a ton of pop and energy to this thing.
Yes.
That's the big difference. And I will say, similar to Vertis Birdie, Dancer 1X earns like high honors from tester feedback. Actually, all the Dancer series of skis. This is another one where I think because it's a faction, people might come into it with lower expectations as to how it's going to handle all mountain and frontside terrain and you know, snow conditions, and then they get on it and the reality creeps up super high. So they are able to take their wider Dancer shapes and builds and put it into this narrower bodied format. There is a good amount of camber here, and I think that's a nice kind of recurring theme with a lot of these all mountain skis, is that there's a lot of positive camber, and not, you know, they're not just throwing a ton of rocker into these things. They're very much adhering to this on-trail format. Tip shape looks very similar to that Black Pearl 82, just with this very scooped out splay shape. So that's going to cause it to pop and float, but then camber underfoot and a little bit more rocker in the tail than that Black Pearl. So I would say this is more versatile, more, you know, more amenable to variable conditions, whereas that Black Pearl 82 is a little bit more clean and crisp on the front side.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's the weight that it,
Not too bad. You know,
Not
like,
too bad.
It's amazing that they can put 2 sheets of metal and still keep it under 1,600 grams.
I think that's really the bread and butter of this ski, is that it's has 2 sheets of metal, does have really strong on-piece performance, edge grip, stability, all of that, but it remains pretty lightweight. And as you said, the positive amount of camber, that poppy responsiveness and feel to it, it's just how it blends with the strength and the properties of the 2 sheets of metal. It's really wild. And when I remember first skiing these, and I did follow them after I'd skied Santa Ana, And so it was interesting to compare the two because they both feature metal and they're both strong carving skis, but you could really feel the difference in the amount of energy and pop that these had.
Yeah.
So definitely less, I felt like they were a little bit more reactive and harder to keep an edge when you were really driving your downhill edge and carving. They want to give you more back as far as like responsiveness and energy and pop, but still they're really strong and definitely a great carving ski if you want that, the properties of metal and that level of strength and just power, but you're not just limited to on-piste skiing. You can definitely take these and venture off-piste, and that just really speaks to what they were trying to achieve here with that level of pop plus the metal.
Yeah, I think that this is a great option too for people that want their first ski with 2 sheets of metal.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, I don't want a full-on, like, you know, Volkl Kenja or something like that. Like, I want to kind of ease into metal through lightness and agility. And we also see that the sidewall does end kind of in that, like, in that atomic fashion where it ends and gives the tips and tails that are capped a little bit more agility and mobility. And Faction does a nice job of lining up their rocker profile with that as well. When you decamber the ski, the rocker pretty much starts where the sidewall ends. So that's, you know, a nod to that free ride down to this shape in the Faction Dancer 1X.
Yeah, and you're getting a pretty long effective edge with that one as well.
Totally, very smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what we've said about this ski before, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it's kind of like a nice either stepping stone ski or like your final destination ski.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the end of my
wall. That's the end
wall.
of your side there. Onto a Fischer Ranger 84. I would say this falls into the same category as maybe Dancer in terms of shape, but more like Vertis Birdie in terms of build, where Fischer keeps it pretty simple, like poplar wood core and fiberglass. We have full sidewall throughout. That's kind of what, you know, tips me off that this is a little bit more of a substantial ski than it may let on. You know, like normally when skis are at the bottom end of a line's range, it's easy to be like, well, that one's the worst. But that's not true.
No.
You know, and it's hard to kind of convince people otherwise, that this Ranger 84 is actually probably a better option for more skiers.
I would say probably the most useful of the series even.
You know, it and similar to the E-Pro, where once we get to this width, we do away with the metal. So that from the wider Rangers that we've talked about before, that's the main structural difference here, is that we don't have the metal, that Shape TI laminate. But still, full sidewall, poplar core, very sturdy, very useful shape. I think that there's just a huge range of skier that can benefit from this. And
pretty heavy.
We do see some weight, you know, and similar to what we saw with Vertis, it's like, yeah, that thicker core profile for more of the ski really does add up over time.
Yeah, and it proves that you don't need a ton of materials in the construction to give you this substantial feel and, level of stability and strength.
But if you like Ranger 90, 96, 102, if you like that overall shape, you're going to like this
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, this is a really, really fun ski, really versatile, and just gives you a nice blend of properties and applications.
Yeah.
I love the shape of this ski. It's just really, really nice. You can bend and flex the front of the ski really nicely, so you're getting a lot of responsiveness from the forebody. And then even though, yes, this one doesn't have metal, it still maintains a really nice level of strength and stiffness, and just great tail for, I don't believe it's a flat tail, but you get a little bit out of the tail where you're not completely locked into your turns. You do get a little bit of that energetic finish. So it's just really fun on piste, but then loves to go off piste, and it's just impressively versatile.
I struggle with these as a heavier skier. I think that it's better, nice catch. I think it's fair to say that these are better suited for lighter, more agile skiers. I run into problems with a little bit of flex in the shovel.
Yeah, like I said, they're pretty easy to bend and flex. So if you are a heavier skier and you're really driving forward, it's going to feel maybe a little unreliable.
But like you and other lighter skiers, I feel like start skiing it from here back and have no problem whatsoever.
Right.
You know, bumps and trees, I think this is tops on this list in terms of being able to get the ski from edge to edge, turn to turn with ease, precision, and an appropriate amount of feedback.
Yep.
Another one that gets overlooked, again, it's the narrowest in the Ranger line, and for some reason people just like discount that. Like you were saying earlier, these wider skis get most of the top billing, mostly from a marketing standpoint, that they're trying to sell the idea that no, you should be skiing in fresh, soft snow all the time, and it's a sunny day and it's beautiful everywhere. And for most skiers, that's just not the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of shopping with like a pipe dream mentality.
Right. Whereas something like this Ranger 84, even with, you know, the metal-free build, makes more sense for more skiers.
Yep.
So again, we're just trying to, like, I guess, deal in reality a little bit more, and that's kind of where my soapbox is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you like the overall shape and character of the wider Rangers and are looking for something narrower and more accessible for all mountain skiing, this is a great place to be.
Yep.
Moving a little bit more back to the front side, this head Total Joy is pretty interesting here. They revamped these Joy lines of skis for this year. Not wholesale changes, just slight structural differences. This thing used to be a little bit denser and harder to ski. They've made it a little bit more accessible while keeping this 85 millimeter underfoot width. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe we've gone to only system. I'm not sure if they offer this flat anymore, but it used to be a little bit more sidewalled with a denser wood core. Now we have a lighter wood core. We have carbon and graphene in the mix. We also have their energy management circuit, which we see on heads higher end level of skis, like in the Super Shape series, and so on and so forth. And that's putting technology into what's kind of, you know, an intermediate advanced ski, which is, I think, a really welcome move in the ski industry, where we're seeing more quality products in the mid-range. And that's what Head does better than most companies out there, and they certainly do it with this Total Joy. So a little bit lighter, but you know, graphene's super stiff, and carbon obviously is really stiff. So these end up, for how thin they are and how light and agile they are, there's a ton of feedback in this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the shape definitely lends more to the front side. 14.7 meter turn radius, 85 underfoot. You're just going to have more satisfaction, I guess.
Yeah, and to follow that, I think something that they did is they lengthened the side cut with this.
Yep.
And that just speaks to the level of satisfaction and the ease of reaching that satisfaction, because it just allows you to make a lot more different turn shapes and styles given the lengthened side cut. So it just welcomes a lot of different forms of skiing. You know, you can slow down and make quick agile turns, and then you can speed it up and open it up a little bit. And for an intermediate to advanced skier, you're getting a pretty sophisticated build and a range of capabilities in this ski, which is awesome.
Before we filmed, Jeff wanted you to say that this is a mom ski, and you pushed back on that pretty well. I loved it.
He did say
and
that.
Like, you know, as a dad, I sometimes take offense to when people call things dad skis.
I don't like it. I don't like that. Yeah.
And I think he said it because his mom
yes.
skis on these, so
that's one mom.
He has very interesting knowledge of that. But I get where he's coming from, I guess, that, you know, if you're thinking prototypically, like, yeah, you're thinking of kind of moderate turns on groomers with a nice solid and stable feeling underfoot, but still a lightweight product. So I don't know if I'd go so far. I'm kind of more in your camp here. I don't want to label it as a mom ski, but I understand kind of the implications behind the term. And I guess if I were going to say that skis on this wall were mom skis, this might be on that side of the spectrum.
And I do also agree and see where he's coming from, but I think there's a different way and combination of words to describe what the ski offers. So I think we succeeded in doing so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a accessible, friendly ski that you can just put to the test in a lot of different ways and just have a lot of fun skiing it.
Yeah, and a different kind of overall feel when we're dealing with these carbon-powered skis versus what we see with metal in terms of the Faction or in the Armada over there. Mm-hmm. So, you know, carbon does have the properties of being lightweight and energetic. So something like the Head or the Elans that are more known for their uses of carbon do end up getting into that I'm light, I'm reactive, energetic, and you don't have to put in a whole lot of work to get this thing to initiate, which is pretty fun. This one's a pretty smooth performer. I'm a big Liberty Evolv fan.
Yeah.
This is the 84W, and like that Reliance, just has this quiet feel to it that is like the best way I can describe it. It just doesn't make any noise. So if you like that type of ski, Armada and Liberty are at just the top of the game. Pretty interesting what they do. They do have vertical metal technology in here. So wood core, they have a blend of poplar, bamboo, and paulownia. Bamboo and paulownia are lighter weight woods. And so how they counteract or balance that is by using a thicker core profile like we see in Ranger and in Vertis over there. So you're kind of, you know, adding lighter wood in a vertical manner. And then to continue that vertical property, we do have 3 vertical metal struts. So they're taking like what would be a more floppy horizontal sheet and turning it vertically, so it's more of an I-beam style of construction. So they use less metal overall, and it really creates that really smooth vibration-free feel.
Yeah.
But pretty cool ski.
This ski really likes to carve.
Yes.
And if you're looking for that strong performing carving ski for frontside terrain, this is a really awesome option. Yep. It's really strong. It has a pretty stiff flex, I would say. It has a long effective edge, good amount of camber, definitely going to be able to get it high on edge with that, you know, you said the thicker profile. You can really put this thing to the test, and if you're someone who wants a carving ski, but you're not, say, an ex-racer, the width on the ski is, 84 is potentially for some too wide for a carving ski. But you take the width and you take just the high level of performance with this ski, and you get a really, really strong carving ski that you still have a good amount of surface area underneath you. You can go into soft snow, and it handles chop really well, and it has a really nice shape in the forebody, so it's pretty smooth and gradual and just allows for awesome on-piste performance, I would say. It's
interesting, like, kind of comparing this tip shape when we put them together. It's that lower profile. You know, this splay distance is very, very small compared to what we see in Dancer and Black Pearl.
Yeah.
It just makes it smoother.
Yeah.
It makes for a smoother engagement into the turn. There's very little taper, early taper in this ski. So like you said, Emily, long effective edge. So that length combined with the vertical metal really makes this ski incredibly rewarding to ski and just a ton of fun.
Yep.
I've loved these Evolv series skis. 14.5 meters, you know, turns pretty easily. And another example of Liberty as a company kind of going outside of their traditional bounds and, you know, saying, well, we started as a free ride freestyle company, deep snow, and now we're getting into the all mountain frontside game, and look at what we can do.
Yep.
You know, Faction Dancer, another great example of that, where, you know, you're used to seeing them in X Games and Olympic
Sure.
slope style events, not really in an all mountain carving and poppy format, but they can make those skis too.
Yep.
Which is really fun.
Absolutely.
And interestingly, like this Pandora 84 does a lot of the same things that this Liberty does, but in a lighter and more amenable way.
And much thinner profile.
Thin profile, lighter ski. This might be one of the lighter ones up here. 1,348 grams. Simple construction. Again, as it's the narrowest of the Pandora series, it's going to get, it lacks the carbon of the 94 and up skis. So it does have kind of that lower end build to it. But what you're getting is just an extreme amount of agility and ease of use.
Yeah, really versatile. Really can go anywhere you want to go with it. 84 millimeter waist width. Again, just a really nice waist width for just on-piste performance and going off-piste. And these would be great in the bumps.
Yep.
They're really lightweight and agile, like you said, and just a nice progressive flex.
Yeah.
And given the simplicity of the build, it is impressive just how they feel, and the skier input and dictation of the turns and just overall performance is really nice. I would turn a lot of people to this ski.
I'm impressed with a lot of these skis on this wall that are narrower versions of the upper end ones, that they don't lose a whole lot of performance.
Yes.
They're lighter, they're easier to use. Like if you're a skier that really doesn't want to put in a whole lot of effort, if you're like nervous and you want the ski to turn when, like, you know, as soon as you tell it to. Like you're getting that out of the weight here. There are skis like that E-Cross that are more reactive and that they're built to be reactive and turn quickly. But that's for someone that likes that type of feel. I think that this Pandora 84 skier is a little more gentle in their nature. Yeah,
really forgiving and just a blast to ski, like just a fun-loving demeanor.
Yep.
And it's hard not to have a good time on the ski.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think Line is another one of those companies that does a good job at keeping a nice feel, you know, a good price point for this like intermediate level ski. And we talked about this last time, that like intermediates get a bad rap around here in the ski world, and there's no reason for that. Like most skiers are intermediate skiers, and most terrain on the mountain is intermediate terrain. So having something that fits that profile, I think, is really helpful.
Yeah.
And this is a great option.
There's no reason to consider yourself an intermediate and try and convince yourself to get an advanced or expert ski.
No, that's a huge disservice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just not doing yourself any favors. And this is certainly not limited to intermediates.
Right.
There are advanced level skiers who can get on this and just have a blast.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and we haven't really brought up like touring capabilities yet, and I like how Line does it in their marketing, where they make light skis and they don't say anything about it. They're like, look, this thing's 1,320 grams.
You decide what you want to do with it.
You decide. You want to go uphill on this thing? Great.
Yep.
And I think that that's a really nice kind of added bonus to this Pandora.
I agree. It's funny how if a company decides and uses touring in the title, it comes with, I don't know, people see that and think, oh, well, I don't want a touring ski, and look right past it.
Yeah.
So leaving it out, but you feel how light it is, and then the skier can decide, hey, this feels like it would be great for a touring ski, or I want a lighter weight all mountain ski in this width category. So.
Yeah. No, I think we talked about that with the Santa Ana 88 and 88 Unlimited last time, where the Unlimited is marketed as more of a touring ski, and they kind of put that verbiage in there, and they might be losing some customers that just want a lighter Santa Ana 88. So here's someone that wants a lighter 84 millimeter underfoot all mountain ski, and they don't have to be told that it's a touring or a not touring ski.
Sure.
They can look at the stats, they can look at where it is in the line, and they can say that's something that I want for the resort.
Yep.
So pretty cool. Very light.
I know,
I like
it's
these
wild.
things.
And Fun graphics too.
And it's a kind of a nice transition into Santa Ana world here. This is a Santa Ana 84. A little bit of an outlier in the Santa Ana line in one specific instance, and that's the tail shape. We have otherwise just a narrower Santa Ana 88 here, lighter weight wood core, terrain specific metal, very much like the front side Santa Ana.
Yes.
So more squared off tail, less tail rocker, but really similar from from mid body up. I could grab this. We're still seeing that elongated, longer rocker. Very much a floaty 84 for sure, and then a little bit more tightened up in the tail. Not a whole lot of taper back here. More square. That's going to hold up to just better on-trail performance. So 15 meters, nice strong ski, and some good versatility there, don't you think?
Absolutely. Another one of those skis similar to how we were talking about the Liberty Evolv. If you want a strong carving ski in this all-mountain, narrower all-mountain category, this is an awesome, awesome option. I really am a huge fan of the whole Santa Ana line. And for their narrower, more front-side focused ski, this is just an awesome option if you do still want to have that level of versatility.
Yeah, and just about 1,500 grams, so we do see the bump, from line to here, and that's just kind of Santa Ana DNA through and through, where you're paying for it a little bit with weight and demand, but you're getting the resulting performance. So whereas someone who's shopping for a Pandora 84, like we were saying, could be done a disservice by just moving on our wall one ski over into Santa Ana 84, where that's going to be a little bit on the demanding side for a progressing intermediate.
Yeah, if they're on the right feet, you're going to reap the benefits of this ski, because it has a pretty high performance ceiling, and if you're able to access that ceiling, it's going to deliver.
Yeah.
If you try to get on this and you're not ready for it, it does take some legwork. And the terrain specific metal, I think, is an awesome application because it feels very intentional. They're trying to make it strong but not overboard.
Right.
They're really being mindful about what width and how much metal to put in this width, and this being the more front side focused one, it has just an appropriate amount of metal to deliver that strong carving performance. And great edge grip and stability, and you can really drive these skis. As I said, skiing these and then getting on the factions, this does not have the level of pop and energy as these do.
Right.
So you do sacrifice a little bit of that, but you're getting that higher level of edge grip and stability and power from these.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're kind of keeping this into the Santa Ana line for this year. I think it makes sense, even though there's literally another Nordica 84 right here and two Santa Ana 88s, the Unlimited and the regular. So like Nordica has 4 skis from 84 to 88 in the women's range, and I think that's hilarious.
It is, but I also appreciate it because it's like when something works and you have a successful recipe, why not just spread it out into a lot of different iterations?
And it's a pretty interesting conversation going from Santa Ana 84 to Wild Belle 84. Again, we were kind of talking before we started filming, and this Wild Belle 84 here is a pioneer of Nordica's current high-end frontside ski line. So technology started here, double core technology started here in Wild Belle 84 last year. Realized that it works really, really well, and now it's in all of the Spitfire, Doberman, and Steadfast skis in the Nordica frontside line. So we talked about horizontal wood laminates in E-Cross from Dynastar. This kind of takes it to the next level where they have 2 full horizontal wood core laminates, and they are separated by this pulse pad technology. So there's like a layer of elastomer in between the two cores, and that just really makes this thing feel incredibly smooth and supportive. There is a raised section here in the forebody and the tail, just additional material. There's not metal doing the heavy lifting here, but it does kind of, again, function like that E-Cross with the H shape, where you're putting a little bit more emphasis on the over the edges portion of the ski, especially kind of in the middle 2/3. Big difference here is that shape, if you want to kind of hold those right next to each other there. This one, clearly the more free ride of the two. This one, the more front side. Wider shovel, less taper, and then same thing in the tail. That edge goes all the way to the end. So a little bit of a deeper side cut, 13.7 meters here in the 162, and this one does come with that system binding. So there's, again, you know, more of a front side capacity to this Wild Belle 84. Really just loves to be planted and making carving turns. Very similar to what we see in Atomic Cloud over there at the beginning of the wall.
Yeah, I was just about to say this ski has a nice planted feel.
Yeah.
I think that was perfectly put. It just really loves to be on groomers and on-piste terrain in firmer conditions. I feel like that is where it really shines. And I think it was a good call to put it up next to the Santa Ana, because you wouldn't necessarily notice that big difference in the more free ride shape in the forebody. And this, you can really see that the edge really goes, you know, you're having more of that ski to snow contact on this, but you're getting that kind of nice rounded shape in the forebody. So it makes it really smooth, and you have a pretty easy time initiating that turn.
Yeah.
And just another one of those skis that just has a really pretty sophisticated build, but it's still pretty accessible, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and definitely for people that spend, I'm trying to think of percentages, but like this is your 90 to 95% on-trail skier.
Yes.
This is like your 80 to 85%
Yeah.
on-trail skier. So this one has the capabilities, more comfortable than this in an off-trail situation.
Yeah.
Anytime you're seeing that wider shovel at the very end, it just makes the ski kind of a little bit more reactive and dippy if you get in softer snow or if you're trying to maneuver off-piste, whereas shovel shapes like this Santa Ana 84 or even that Dynastar E-Pro, which like E-Pro to E-Cross is a nice kind of similarity between Santa Ana 84 and Wild Belle 84.
Yep.
So if you're looking to spend more of your time on trail in this category, I think this is really cool. And just the fact that this technology was like the precursor to the current top level skis in Nordica's frontside line, I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And system binding, that's gonna help keep it planted.
Totally.
This is a Rossignol Experience 82W. This falls more into the category of real ski, more than other skis on this list. I would say this is one of the more demanding options up here. 1,645 grams. We do get a full poplar wood core, 2 sheets of metal. So we're more in faction land now when we're talking about the amount of metal involved. This one just feels like a stronger carver than the faction.
Yes.
Like if you're interested in high performance carved turns, I think this Experience 82 is where it's at.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing that I find interesting is looking at the sidewall, you know, you get that little extra bit underfoot.
It's pretty clear where they're putting their
Very
emphasis,
clear,
isn't it?
yeah. And so just to add to the construction with the properties of metal, it really does love to get on edge and really carve with a lot of power.
Yep. And similar to the faction, Rossignol does this too, where they line up sidewall with rocker. So you're getting a little bit longer and lower rocker than we see in the faction. Remember that faction just had a whole lot of dramatic splay there, but Yeah, where the sidewall ends, the rocker begins, rocker and cap begins, giving this thing a little bit of a mortal presence out there. Like you don't have to be a former World Cup skier to enjoy this, but you know, certainly on this wall, this is one of the higher performing choices. Tail, same way, not a ton of tail rocker, but it does line up with where the sidewall ends. So like you were saying, Emily, like the orange sidewall is where they're putting the emphasis in terms of power, and then where it's capped in the very tips and tails does open it up a little bit to versatility.
Yeah.
Nice, powerful camber underfoot. Like this thing rips.
Yeah.
I liked it more in the bumps than Jeff did, I remember, on the men's side.
Yeah.
It's the same build, 82 TI, men's and women's. And I think my weight was the deciding factor there.
Sure.
I think that more powerful, heavier skiers are going to have an easier time unlocking the versatility here, where lighter skiers are going to run into a little bit of talk back when it comes to pushing the ski into a bump. It's also not terribly tapered, so going kind of against E-Cross and even Santa Ana 84 here, which is a little bit more of that free ride shaped shovel. This thing is definitely more into the all mountain frontside realm.
Yeah.
But I think these are great. You know, Experience has been around for a while now, and I would say this is kind of the culmination of all those years of design and technology.
Yeah, and possibly another maybe overlooked ski for its level of performance.
Well, you know, as we found, there's a lot of great options here.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to stand out. You need to have something that kind of puts you on a different plane or level than other skis on this list, whether it be lightweight or smoothness or high performance.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think a lot of people really start at the 82 level when they're looking for a high performance ski.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stance 84. Did you get to ski this thing in the bumps at all?
I don't think so, which I know we've talked about the wider options.
Yeah.
And I think I was just mostly skiing on groomers, but you find this to be a pretty fun bump ski.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's, again, 84. We have wider versions, 88, 94, I believe, in the women's line. We get the different build here with the 84, same as it's been for a couple years. We do get a graphic update for this year. But for this level of ski in terms of budget and application, very high level of performance. One of these great options like this head that is aimed towards intermediates but at a higher quality level. Metal underfoot, carbon stringers in the tips and tails. We do get, like, I don't know if it's the same cutouts that we see in the 88, but they at least have that depression there. From what I've seen in like the mock-up of these, the carbon stringers are full length.
Yeah.
It's not like the other skis where that carbon and basalt laminate is just in the window. There's actually carbon fibers that are kind of go from where the metal ends to almost the very tip. So there are carbon stringers in there to stiffen the shovel and the tail, and then metal underfoot for grip. And I think that's a great recipe for bump skiing and really energetic turns.
I was just going to say it's a great recipe for how I like to ski.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was really shocked at how much I loved this ski.
I know, right?
It was just so fun, and just the metal underfoot sometimes feels like enough for me on some days. I don't need a Santa Ana every day.
Right.
I don't need a Faction Dancer 1X every day. I want to have that level of stability and strength underfoot where you need it most. But then I do still want that flex and that responsiveness and energy out of the tip and tail. And I think they did an awesome job with the construction in this ski, and it holds its own so well on piste and just really rips and has great edge grip, and you can really ski with a good amount of speed. But then when you want to just have that little bit of playfulness and forgiveness and just ability to go into the bumps and the trees and just have that responsiveness. Like I said, it's so fun and reactive.
So men's Stance 84 is the same build, different graphic, different lengths. Jeff and I kind of talk about this ski at length in the men's mid-80s category as having probably the best combination of most attributes.
Yeah.
Like value, power, reactivity, like you were saying, versatility, just a well-rounded nature and an overall good feel.
Yeah.
Like I skied this thing in Alta for like over half a day.
Amazing,
and loved it.
Yeah.
Even in deeper, like days-old snow.
Yeah.
Like deep snow. I mean, I was a little heavy for it, but that was the only limitation.
Sure.
And if you're talking about like a budget-oriented 84 millimeter underfoot ski, that if that's its only limitation for a heavier, more aggressive skier, like I'm taking it every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's just an amazing blend of these things.
Yeah, I think it's another conversation similar to the one that we were having earlier about the level of surprise from the ski test from a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people I talked to on that day just saying, have you gotten on the Salomon Stance? Like, it's so fun. I was so surprised by it. So potentially another like underdog, you know, just for whatever reason, highly encourage people to get on a Stance because, like you said, it's just that well-rounded, awesome combination of attributes.
They changed up the graphic for this year. It is more appealing.
Yes.
I think that kept it on the shelves the past few years. It was nondescript. And I think that like in general, like graphics isn't like a huge thing to talk about, but if it keeps a ski on a shelf, if it kills a sale, like that's a shame.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you should ever buy a ski because of its looks only, but it can sure divert your eyes away from a potentially really good match.
Yeah, there's just something to be said about an eye-catching graphic. You know, it's just gonna draw your attention, and you may look at a ski that you wouldn't otherwise based on just the looks. And I'm glad that they did this to the graphics because it should receive more attention than it does.
Yeah, there aren't a ton of skis that I'll like overtly say that about, but this is one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it just makes a lot of sense. And another version of these skis that's mostly sidewall underfoot and then cap, tip and tail, and just really kind of accentuating where the rocker starts and how you're applying mobility to the front and back of the ski. So long but very low tail rocker in this one. So easy to release turns. Nice spoony shovel shape here too. So really, again, hitting on a lot of different notes and checking a lot of boxes.
Really an awesome daily driver for a lot of people.
100%, Emily. This is a Volkl Blaze 86. We have this one in system here. This does come flat as well. I wouldn't put this one into the category. This is kind of an exception where the system is here more for convenience than performance. I don't think anyone's going to really mistake this thing with a hard-charging frontside ski like we would say about Wild Belle or that Atomic down there. This is very much a lighter weight all-mountain ski that has wider, you know, they have Blaze 94, 106, and now 86 and 82 on the lower end. More of that free ride feel to it and shape, as well as build. So this system binding is here because we do sell it as a package. So for convenience and value, that's kind of why you're seeing this system binding here. With a little bit of a higher stand height, it does kind of increase your leverage when you're getting into a carved turn. So that, you know, that's kind of a hidden bonus of this system binding. You are giving up touring potential and a little bit of a lower stand height for bump and tree and more free ride performance. But, you know, that's kind of up to the skier how they want to go about their shopping process.
Yeah.
But light wood core in this one. We don't get metal like we do in the 94 and the 106 underfoot, just this raised platform here. And then we do get suspension tips and tails, so rubber in the tips and tails. Usually with a ski this light, they need something to balance that light weight to get the chatter down, and that's where suspension tips and tails come into play. 3D radius in this one, 25, 13, 21, so more capable of longer radius turns in the tips and tails. But if you stand on the middle of this thing comes around.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a slalom ski if you pressure the middle of the ski, but you can also achieve higher speeds at lower edge angles with stability, which is the big benefit of 3D radius. But I know you've liked these and bumps and trees. I've followed you through some sketchy areas.
I do find some sketchy areas. Yeah, that's right. I forgot it was, I think it was Bypass?
Yeah.
Yeah, that we skied through. And I think what you just said, it makes a lot of sense given how I was skiing them. It's just when you are standing right in the middle and you're in kind of that bump position, you're really getting that quickness and that agility, and they're really energetic from edge to edge. But then when you do want to open it up, it responds really nicely to that as well. Really, when I was doing the written part, it was hard. I think I was speaking to the versatility of the line Pandora, and just wondering which one up here was the most versatile.
Yep.
And I think I ended up deciding that it was the Blaze, because it really has a wide range of capabilities and can appeal to a lot of different skiers. It has a pretty friendly nature, but then a lot of different skiers can access the benefits of it.
And you were on this system binding, like you weren't on a flat binding.
Right.
And during our warehouse sale here in the summer, had a customer that I was talking to. She had these skis in her hand, and she's like, I'm a little bit worried about the performance of this.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know where it is, but try to find the footage of Emily skiing Bypass on these demo bindings.
Yeah.
And that should quell your fears that this is not going to hold up to high performance skiing.
Absolutely.
Like this shouldn't be a deterrent
No.
for someone, and if they're at all worried about it. And she got the stuff, saw her in Boston as well. And,
oh, cool. Oh, that's great.
Was excited about that. But yeah, I don't think that there's any fear of loss of performance with this system setup. It just doesn't have as many options as a flat.
Right.
And that's really the only downside. Other than that, you're getting great value.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of an outlier in terms of profile in this ski. With the binding, obviously it's going to sit flatter, but when we hold it up decambered, there's not a lot of camber. It is a very flat ski. When you decamber it, the rocker starts well down and it's just extremely low. It tops out at maybe 3-4 millimeters before tip splay starts. So that makes it extremely drifty and easy to maneuver and get sideways.
Yep.
Again, tail, very low rocker, starts way down on the ski, but not a whole lot of splay for how long that rocker profile is. But awesome overall skis. I can't believe you said this was the most versatile right after we talked about how the Stance was the most versatile.
I don't know. That's what I said. It was hard to choose, and there's a few that are the top 3 contenders, but.
And then you're insulting the Yumi 84 as well. No, that's why we try to stay away from superlatives here, Emily.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to say
hard.
This is the most of anything. And we can kind of agree on there's a bunch that fall into that category that are all extremely versatile and well-rounded.
Some serious competition.
That's great. I think that's a huge benefit for the end user. If you've got it down to 3 skis, I'm looking for versatility. I got a Yumi 84, a Blaze 86, and a Stance 84. Great. Yeah. You're there.
Any of those will be amazing.
Yeah. Yep. Yumi 84, really fun ski. Kind of has a lot of Volkl's technology built into this thing. 3D radius, fiberglass frame, so not a Titanal frame like we see in Kenja 88. And then we do have a Titanal binding platform here. So kind of what we see in the wider Blaze series of skis with that metal underfoot, it's basically the same basically the same plate. Full width underfoot extends a little bit into the glass frame in the forebody and through the tail. So you're getting good underfoot stiffness, and then the fiberglass frame is just incredibly responsive. You know, like skis like the Deacon 80 also feature this glass frame, and that's like a really fun, energetic carving ski. So it takes those properties, mixes them with metal underfoot like we see in Kenja 88, you know, and then we add their 3D radius as well, and it's just a totally fun and rewarding ski. 14 underfoot, 19 in the tip, 17 in the tail. So a little less drama in terms of that 3D radius than what we saw in Blaze, which was like a bigger shovel number and a bigger tail number. These numbers are more similar, and that just gives this thing a little bit more of a predictable feel.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is one of those skis, under 1,400 grams, that is like a Pandora 84, but a little bit more responsive.
Yeah.
So you can achieve a higher level of skiing on these without, you know, if you're looking for lightweight plus energetic skiing, Yumi 84 is a fantastic choice.
Yeah, it's very, very useful. And another thing that is great about it is it's a high-end ski, but it's also pretty affordable.
Yeah.
Which is great. And it just delivers a really high level of performance, but it's not demanding. It's not going to be overly tiring or anything like that. It's a really nice blend, like you said, like lightweight, energetic, but you're really able to push them and drive them and get that nice feedback. Yeah, and kind of similar. Volkl does this with a lot of their skis these days, where they're just flatter in their camber overall. And when they kind of mix that with the side cut and the strong turning capabilities, like they've kind of decided that you don't need all that camber underfoot. That opens up more off-trail versatility. Like we talked about with that Blaze 86, it's easier to get it sideways. So camber, like we see in Rossignol or Dancer, that's going to push down on the tips and tails. And when you try to get them sideways, it's going to be hookier and catchier. It wants to be on firmer snow to engage and give you feedback at the end. Whereas skis like Blaze 86 and this Yumi, which are flatter overall in nature, even I think, where else did we see it? I don't know. I got lost at this point. Maybe in the Pandora, a little bit flatter underfoot. You know, just allows you to kind of manipulate your turns a little bit easier without losing out on, you know, performance once the ski's up on edge. But long, low camber, rocker, excuse me, very similar to what we saw in Blaze 86. Mm-hmm. So not a whole lot of tail splay, but longer rocker. So they really play around with that and say, all right, we're going to make this back, whatever, 20 centimeters, feel pretty amenable to breaking free from the turn. Yeah. But I really like Yumi 84 as kind of that everyday, every person ski. Yeah, but it definitely is like a step up as far as performance and build and feel than the Blaze. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, there's a different user. Yeah. Yumi 84 user is more of an on-trail skier. They prefer the energy of a carved turn, whereas your Blaze 86 is more adventurous, I would say. Yeah, like free ride oriented. Yeah. Well, that's it. That was 21 skis, I think. 82 to 86 underfoot, varying levels of metal, carbon, nothing, you know. Simple, sophisticated. Yeah, we got frontside skis with bindings. We got all mountain skis without bindings. There's all sorts of fun stuff here. And again, just reiterating the reality of the situation for most skiers, I think that this is a great place to be. And if you spend most of your time on groomed and kind of blue square and above, this is something that should be at the top of the list. Yeah, it's a category I like focusing on because I feel like it surprises a lot of people. Because lower 80s, you're thinking maybe mostly front side focused, and then there are skiers that think that that's too wide for front side terrain. And so it's just, there's a lot of skis that are up here that are ready to prove themselves as far as how versatile they are and the range of capabilities while still having really, really strong front side performance.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thank you.
That was fun.
Yep.
Please reach out if you have any questions or comments. Again, if you get it down to 3 skis, great job.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal here.
Exactly.
And from there you can decide. But
Yep.
yeah, reach out if you have any questions, and we'll see you out there on the hill.
Bye.